It's that time of the week again. BYU team captain Clark Barrington joins the show. We'll talk a little bit about the ECU loss, what BYU needs to do to get a win, hopefully up on the blue turf this weekend against Boise State, and a whole lot more.
You are Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast on the BYU Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? I'm Jake Hatch, your host here on Locked On Cougars, resident BYU insider. Apologies for my voice. I told you guys yesterday on the podcast, coming out with a sore throat, and it's very much settled in. So we'll soldier through this, but pleased to be joined once again by Clark Barrington, and a big thank you once again to all of you for making us your first listen of the day. Clark, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
That's what we like to hear. So I want to take a look back a little bit at ECU. I said earlier this week on the podcast that I felt like you guys went out and put forth what I would call a winning effort for at least 3.5 quarters. And then in the final 8 or so minutes of that game, some unfortunate penalties, there's a pass interference, etc. And then you guys ultimately fall on a walk-off field goal. So give me your sense of what you take away from that East Carolina loss.
Yeah, no, I think I would agree with you on what you said. We did a lot of good things. The run game being part of that, but there were those critical fourth downs that we weren't able to convert, and that ultimately decided the game. So
now, obviously, you guys ran the ball about as well as you guys have run in quite a while. Can you point to anything in particular as to why you guys had so much success on the ground?
I think it was just good to get it started early. That was kind of the emphasis that week. We're going to go in, we're going to grind on them and run the ball and establish that early in the game. And so I think just having the opportunity to establish that run game early really helped us. So.
Now, obviously, you guys want to control the line of scrimmage. You guys want to control the time of possession, something you guys have struggled with most of this year, and you guys did it in that game. How important is it for you guys to get that, essentially to win the time of possession battle and get the requisite amount of plays if you guys have hopes of winning football games?
Yeah, I think it's super important, not only for the offense, but also for the defense, right? Try to keep them off the field, keep them fresh. And so when they go in there, they're ready to make plays. And I feel like we did a good job of that. So.
Now, in that game, I thought it was a pretty fun environment. I thought, all things considered, BYU fans, kind of a late arriving crowd on a Friday night. How much do you guys, and I think I've asked you this before, but how much, I'm going to ask you again, how much do you guys draw in terms of BYU fans on your home turf, them cheering you guys on? How much do you guys draw from their support?
Yeah, I think it's a big deal. It's always nice to be able to have that home crowd and get some energy and feed off their energy, that they bring. But we also understand that we need to be able to be ready and go play in any environment. So, but it's definitely nice to have them, there having our back. So.
Now, obviously, you guys have lost 4 straight here. You guys didn't win a game in the month of October. Just give me a sense of where is the team? Because you're a team captain, obviously. You're a guy who's expected to kind of lead the way for this team. Help me understand where the team's at right now, despite losing 4 straight and going up to Boise.
I think kind of looking at how we played, against East Carolina really kind of shows you where we're at as a team. We came out with a mindset to win the game and energy to do so, and that it just didn't fall our way. And so I think that's the same mindset we have going into Boise. We're hungry and we're coming to win, and we're going to do everything within our power to do so. So.
Now, obviously, you guys got to win 2 of your final 3 games at minimum to make it to bowl season. Has that been a conversation at all this week between you and the coaches, et cetera?
I think it's in everybody's minds, but we're doing our best to try to focus on what's next, and going one game at a time and playing the season, even one play at a time and focusing on that and hoping that goes well and then moving on from there. So.
Now, this is the final game. You guys have played 10 straight weeks before you finally get to a bye week. How important are those bye weeks for you guys?
Yeah, I think they're important. It's an opportunity for us to, focus on ourselves and get better that way, and then also just focus on our maybe injuries or whatnot, and get healthy. And so I think it will be a good opportunity for us to take time and get healthy, and then focus on ourselves and improve ourselves. So.
Is there any, I don't know how to describe this. Is there any thought of like you guys thinking ahead, like, okay, we got next week off. We just got to get through this game. Is there any thought in terms of that, in your mind?
I think so. I think there's kind of a thought of, hey, we'll have next week, to start feeling better and prepare a little bit more, so let's put everything out there on the field that we have and give our all, so that when next week comes, we can feel good about what we did. So.
Now, I want to talk to you a little bit more about Boise. We'll get to that here in a moment. First, I need to get a word in on one of our great sponsors here, and that's our friends over at Simply Safe. Did you know that over the holidays, property crimes like burglaries and package theft spike nationally? That's why our friends at Simply Safe Home Security are offering 50% off their award-winning security system so that more families can feel safe and secure this holiday season. Order your Simply Safe system for half off today and enjoy enhanced security and greater peace of mind this holiday season. This is why it's absolutely incredible. The best part about Simply Safe is they monitor it 24/7. Even if you're not at home, they are willing to dispatch authorities if they notice something out of the ordinary. They also use Fast Protect technology exclusively from Simply Safe to capture critical evidence and verify the threat is real, so you can get priority police response. So it's absolutely incredible. Don't miss your chance to save on the only security system that I would recommend. Get 50% off any new Simply Safe system at simplysafe.com/lockedoncollege. This is their biggest discount of the year, so don't wait. That's simplysafe.com/lockedoncollege. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Thank you once again for joining us here on Locked On Cougars and on the Clark Barrington Show. Want to remind you guys, make sure you check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast, from the games that matter to the biggest stories in sports. Go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today is available on this app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, Clark, obviously you guys have played Boise a lot in your time playing for the Cougars. They've actually been one of the few constants on your guys' schedule during the independent era over the past 12 years. And they've been a very willing partner to play you guys annually. So let's start here. What do you enjoy about facing Boise State? And I guess conversely, what do you hate about playing Boise State?
I don't know. It's always a good contest, and it's always a good game, and so I'm excited to be able to play them again. I think you do start to gain almost a hatred for some of the guys you play against, and the D-line. I've played against all of them multiple times, and so it's an old D-line, and I think they probably feel the same way against us, about us. I mean, and so I'm just excited to play them again and go head to head with them again. So
now, as I mentioned, you guys have played Boise every year in independence. The biggest, BYU's only won on the blue turf against Boise one time. It was during the pandemic. You guys went up there. Tyler Algier, was the very first play of the game, takes off a big touchdown run, and you guys ran away with that one. But traditionally, you guys have struggled up there on the blue turf. What makes it so hard to win games up there?
Honestly, I have no idea. Of course, it's a good environment and whatnot. The only time I played up there, was that game during the pandemic. So, that's the only one I kind of have to look back on, and it was empty. So I'm sure when it's full, it's a good place to play. I've heard from the coaches and all that. It's going to be loud. It's going to be a good environment. So we're excited to go in there and play the game. So.
Well, so Clark Barrington has no other idea of losing on the blue turf. He's only won there. So, hey,
Exactly.
Now, obviously, they wear those blue uniforms on that turf. Is that truly, in your mind, an advantage for them?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think there's a whole lot that I don't think your vision gets affected by the blue turf. I don't know. I think it's different once you're on there and playing on there than watching from above. So,
well, that's what I was going to ask you, because when I watch it, it's just like this fluorescent, like it's like burning my eye sockets. I feel like,
right.
Obviously on TV and also in person. But so you say when you get out there on the turf, it's not necessarily as bad then?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Okay, fair enough. So when it comes to the Boise series, is there, I don't know, a moment or I guess a play during this time that you've played against Boise that you will always remember?
I think the one that you mentioned, seeing Tyler go for, what was it, 80 something yards? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, 80 something yards in what I think it was the second, third play of the game. That'll always be a great memory in my mind. So.
Now, obviously, you're a kid from the Pacific Northwest. Boise, did they ever recruit you at all in high school?
Yeah, they did a little bit.
So did you give them any thought, or was BYU like your place to be?
I don't know. They didn't end up offering me in the end, so no, it wasn't really much of a thought there, and I came here.
So the reason I asked that is because Mason Wake. I know you're probably pretty familiar with Mason and everything.
Yeah.
He's lining up alongside you guys. I had a conversation with him when he was a freshman, and this was actually when you guys were going to Utah State to play that year. This might have been 2018, if I recall correctly. And it's one of the more famous interviews I've ever done in all of my career at BYU, because he said that Boise State was the school he dreamed of going to all growing up. It was like his school. He always dreamed of going there, and they ignored him. And they also said that Utah State said they were going to offer him. They were loving him up. And he said, as he said, quote, "They ghosted me. And I've got nothing more than I want to go up there to both of those schools and show them what they missed out on." And I think that there are guys like that they draw motivation from slights like that. Are you a guy that you have to, do you create your own, I guess, motivation in a way, or do you naturally just go out there and play?
I think, I wasn't a highly recruited guy. It was like the Big Sky and BYU.
Okay.
So, Hawaii was in there and maybe a few other schools, but nothing crazy. And so I think kind of that's been the story of my whole life, trying to prove people wrong. And that's what I hope to do, every time I step on that field. So.
Now, I've had conversations with people that know you well, and they say that you are a teddy bear off the field, but when you get on the field, they use the terminology, and they mean it lovingly, a bleep hole. And that was the direct quote. I heard people would know you very, very well. And I think is that your mentality? I guess I'll start there.
Yeah. People don't really like me on the field, but that's all right. Because we'll be good friends off the field, especially teammates. You know what I mean? I think there's got to be a switch that's flipped there, and it's a different mindset going in and doing the job we do. So.
Now, how difficult can that be to flip that switch on when you're on the field, but as soon as you're off it, how do you turn it off?
Honestly, I don't know. I think it's kind of just a natural thing. Yeah, honestly, I don't know how it turns on, how it turns off, but it just happens.
Okay, fair enough. I can respect that. That's the thing about this is you guys obviously you've been trying to play with an edge all year long, and I felt like that ECU game, for example, you kind of got that edge back. And how difficult has it been, I guess, as a team? I know that you say you always play with that edge, but how difficult has it been at moments this season to find that edge and to buy into it?
Yeah, I think it's been tough. There's been different things, affecting us in different ways. But I think, we finally have, most of the guys buying in and you can tell, when it does finally click. And so we're just excited to keep going from where we're at. So.
Now, Boise is pretty heavily favored in this one. I think last check, our friends at BetOnline had them as an 8-point favorite in this game, and that means they're expected to beat you guys by over a touchdown. But I harken back to Baylor Romney's very first start. You probably remember this. I don't know. Did you start in that game?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so going into that game, I was like, okay, there's no chance BYU's winning this game. I was like, Boise State's nationally ranked. They're starting a backup quarterback. Baylor was making his first start. I think that Blake Freeland was making his first career start as well at right tackle in that game.
Yeah.
But you guys went out there and took control of that game. Is that something you guys can kind of buy into in this game? Because you're expected to go up there and lose.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a great opportunity for us to go up there and do our thing and hopefully come out with a win. So it'll be exciting.
Now, in terms of what Boise throws at you, mentioned the fact that you're very familiar with their defensive line. Right now, they're among the tops in the country defensively. What has made them so effective in terms of just their ability to slow down opposing teams?
Yeah, they're not a defense that's gonna come throw a bunch of crazy looks at you. But they're super solid. With their technique, with their scheme, and holding the gaps that they're supposed to be in, and then shedding blocks when needed and making plays that way. And so, just knowing, we know where the defense is going to be at, and so executing those blocks and then staying on those blocks the entire time. I think that will help us this game.
Now, I had a conversation with somebody, and they were lamenting the fact that, like, BYU, they're not like engaging on the box, they're not holding them long enough. And I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, well, here's the thing: as an offensive lineman, the best thing you can do really is just to shield guys in certain circumstances. Like the biggest thing is getting between them and the run, and in the run game in particular, and also in the pass game, just making sure that Jaren has a clean pocket to work from. Can you give us an insight as to how important it is? Just simply, you know what? Just do your job. It may not be a perfect block, but just get in front of the guy.
Yeah, I think a term that's used a lot is just to get a body on a body. And so. And that is exactly what it says it is. Just getting your body on the guy you're responsible for, and then kind of letting the back do everything from there, or letting Jaren do everything from there. And so as long as we're able to get a body on a body and stay with the guy we're supposed to be on, and I think it'll go as planned. So.
It sounds like Lopini is going to be the starter again this week. Kalani was saying that Chris Brooks is doubtful for this week's game, but I thought Lopini was very good last week. Had his second career 100-yard rushing game. I have to go back all the way to 2018 to get his other 100-yard game in his career. What makes Lopini so effective in his role?
I think he's just always ready when his number's called. Like you said, it is only his second 100-yard, plus rushing game, but he's always there in the mix, and he's always ready when his number is called, and whether it be a backup for Tyler or in the mix. This year, whenever he was called, he was ready to step up and make a play when needed. So I think that's what he does well.
Did the game plan change at all with him as the number one back versus a guy like Chris Brooks, if at all?
No, it didn't.
Okay, so so you guys are just essentially doing the same things. It's just you guys go out there. Okay.
Yep.
All right, so I want to get into just some other fun stuff before we close up shop here. We'll get to those momentarily. Let's first talk about our friends over at Sweatblock. And Clark, I'm going to throw this at you. Have you ever had a moment on the field? I know you guys are big, sweaty dudes on the field, but have you ever had a moment on the field that just completely embarrassing? You're like, oh my gosh, it's like the Southwest want to get away moment.
Oh yeah, those always happen every now and again.
Well, and that's what Sweatblock is here for. The goal is to make it so that you don't have to worry about that. I always harken back. I don't know how much you watch the NCAA tournament, but former Arizona coach Sean Miller, he was famous, and you can go back and look this up, Clark, if you have not seen it. He would sweat through his shirt, like it would go translucent, like blue.
Yeah.
White. Have you seen it? Okay.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Well, that's what Sweatblock is here for. The Sweatblock wipes are a must-have for everybody's toiletry bag, whether it's a big presentation or a hot date. Everybody can benefit. If you or someone you love is experiencing embarrassing sweat or odor, try Sweatblock. Save 20% with the promo code LOCKEDON at sweatblock.com. It's also available on Amazon. But once again, save 20% with the promo code LOCKEDON at sweatblock.com. Also brought to you today by our friends over at UCCU, a bank that I've been banking with since I was a young pup. I would encourage you guys to take advantage of this. They have offering right now a 15-month savings certificate with an incredibly high APY of 4.00%. Plus, you can jump up to an even higher rate of return anytime during the life of your certificate if interest rates continue to go up. That's the best part about it. You make one deposit, then let your money grow and grow and grow with a fixed rate of return that's much higher than the standard savings account. How much higher? A lot higher. As mentioned, 4.00%. You also can get a savings certificate for as low as $500. Making this an awesome opportunity for every type of saver, big or small. So take advantage of it now, my friends. They're offering that 15-month savings certificate with an incredibly high APY of 4.00% and a variety of term options to match your specific needs, but it's only available for a limited time. So go take advantage of it now. It's an incredible opportunity for everybody who wants to build their savings. Visit uccu.com to learn more or to get that savings certificate today. UCCU, love where you bank. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. Thank you for bearing with my voice. Clark, your voice sounds nice and strong, so I'm probably dragging this podcast down today. But as we go out the door here, as we finish things up, in terms of going on the road, you guys have 2 of your final 3 games on the road here. When it comes to road games, what is your favorite part about being out there on the road?
I just think it's always fun to get out and see a new part of the country. Just be able to play in a new environment and have that experience. I think that's just always a good time.
Now, obviously, you guys are somewhat familiar with Boise and Albertson Stadium. In terms of Boise, is there any like must see or must do things up there?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. I'm sure there is, but most of the time we just stay in the hotel and maybe walk the streets near it, but that's about it.
Well, the reason I ask is because there are guys who like to do different things on road trips. Like Steve Young, for example, famous BYU alum. I don't know if you read his biography his autobiography he did recently.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about the fact that he was so nervous. He had like performance anxiety issues that he would like literally hole up in his room. And his roommate, Brent Jones, who's one of the more famous tight ends in San Francisco 49ers history, he had the same breakfast every single game day. It was 2 power bars and a banana. And Brent would go out and get it. Steve wouldn't even leave the room. And he said, once I got on the field, everything went away. But the lead up to that is what changed it. And I think that there are guys that they have those type of issues, but the other guys like you, you strike me as a guy that you're pretty laid back. And then once you take the field, you're like, all right, let's go out and do this thing.
Yeah. I think holding it in and stressing about it, almost just makes it worse.
Okay.
And so, especially with the O-line guys, we're all a bunch of goofy guys. And so, we're just trying to have a good time, wherever we're at. So
okay, when you say goofy guys, I know offensive linemen, you guys kind of, as I say, toil in anonymity because you guys really don't want your names to be highlighted on a game. Because usually
right.
a penalty. When you say goofy guys, what do you mean by that?
I don't know, just always down to have a good time.
Okay.
You always find us laughing and kind of goofing off, and but when it does come closer to the game, we understand it's a serious thing, and so then we tend to quiet up and get a little bit more serious. But definitely night before the game, day before the game, we're trying to have our good time and just have a fun time with the boys and chill that way. So.
How much is that, I guess, a part of like Coach Funk? Like, does he participate in this, or is he kind of an aloof dude who's just like, you know what, we're going to handle our business on the field?
Yeah, he trusts us, and so he just lets us do our thing, and he knows that once it comes game time, we'll handle what we're doing. So.
Now, obviously, you've been teaming with Blake Freeland all year long, and there's been a little bit of rotation at center with Connor and Joe on your other side. But what do you enjoy most about playing with a guy like Blake? Because he strikes me as a guy who he's no nonsense on the field. Because I've tried to interview him, and he's a man of very few words. But he seems like when he's on the field, though, he seems like he's much more demonstrative. Is that true?
Yeah, I think the longer you get to play next to somebody, the more you kind of just understand. How the other person plays. And so I think that's a big thing with me and Blake right now. Just knowing how he's going to be there or where he's going to be at a certain spot or how I can best help him or how he can best help me with the block. You know what I mean? And so there's just better continuity that way. And you just kind of learn as you go and you just kind of know and expect kind of certain things out of each other. And so I think that's just what makes it so fun.
Is that kind of go for the same, I guess, for Connor on your right side at center, and I guess over on the right side of the line? Is that the same thought process as well as like guys like Mason and Isaac Rex as well?
I think so, yeah. There's always learning opportunities and things like that, but I think the more you play together, the more you're able to expect a certain thing to happen. So.
Now, in terms of you guys, you're on the road. What is your preferred, I guess, pregame meal on the road, or is it just you guys just eat whatever the team gives you?
Yeah, I just eat whatever the team gives us at the hotel. So hopefully, usually it's good, and so they feed us pretty well.
Now, you guys have a full-time nutritionist this year. Is that right?
Yeah.
How important has that been for you guys, just to have somebody that's there, it's kind of keying in your guys' diet, helping you maintain your weight, etc.?
Yeah, it's been cool. The same guy, he has been around for a little bit. But we're just taking, more advantage of it, these days, with where we're getting breakfast, snack and dinner. And so, they're providing lots of food and good food and food that will help us, continue to build our bodies. Right. So
I've seen those Traegers, and he loads those bad boys up, and it's
chicken,
chicken,
he does
all this stuff. It looks absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's good stuff for sure.
All right. Well, Clark, a big thank you once again for joining us. As always, a little later on this week, but looking forward to the game against Boise, and then I'll look forward to catching up with you next week on the bye week. All right.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, there you go. That's Clark Barrington. For Clark, I'm Jake. Thank you once again for making us your first listen of the day. Want to encourage you now to make your second listen. Our friends over at the Locked On Big 12 podcast. Get caught up on everything going on in the Big 12 conference with Josh Neighbors. Get that free and available wherever you get your podcasts, just like this one. Until tomorrow, have a great rest of your day. This has been the Locked On Cougars podcast. See ya.